Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're diving into an idea that's going to flip your understanding of life, suffering, and relationships completely on its head. Seriously. It's this wild, super counterintuitive way of looking at the world that says maybe, just maybe, our greatest enemies are actually our biggest helpers.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll tackle the puzzle of why life can feel so out of our control. Then we'll get into the core concept that life is all about repaying debts. From there, we'll look at your personal karmic balance sheet, unpack the most radical idea that your enemies are your benefactors, and finally, see how all of this leads to a surprising kind of freedom.
So let's start with the big one, the puzzle of life. Why does it so often feel like we're just passengers, not the ones actually steering the ship? You know that feeling, right? The philosophy we're exploring today kicks off with that exact question. Why this family? Why this town? Why these people in my life? It really leans into that common feeling of being just swept along by forces way bigger than us. A kind of helplessness I think we've all felt at some point.
But here's the twist. This philosophy says it's not random. Not at all. The answer is something called yin-yuan zuha, which translates to karmic combination. The idea here is that everything happening to you right now, the good, the bad, all of it, is a direct result of things you've said and done in the past, maybe even in past lives.
Okay, so if our present is just a result of our past, what does that mean for our purpose? Why are we here? And that brings us to our second point, which completely redefines the whole game.
And boom, there it is, the big idea. This philosophy suggests that we are here in this life for one main reason, to settle our karmic debts. And until that spiritual ledger is all cleared up, we're kind of stuck in this cycle. We can't move on until the bill is paid.
So get this. From this viewpoint, a smart life isn't about getting more money or more fame or even more happiness. No, it's about carefully, methodically paying off what you owe. And, this is crucial, not taking on any new debt. The goal is to get to zero.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds kind of grim, right? Just a life of paying off bills? But the source material points to some of the most famous and respected figures in history and myth as people who achieved true greatness by doing exactly this. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it reframes stories we all think we know. Jesus' sacrifice? That's seen as paying a debt with his blood. The Buddha spending decades teaching? A form of repayment. Even mythological heroes like Neja, who literally gave his body back to his parents, or the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, who went through unbelievable hardships for his master. They're all seen as the ultimate examples of settling your accounts.
Okay, so if life is about paying off what we owe, that leads to a pretty obvious question. Who exactly do we owe? And how in the world do we pay them back? Well, this is where the philosophy gets super practical. It lays out this kind of spiritual balance sheet. You've got a debt to nature, which you repay with gratitude. A debt to society, you pay that by being a good, law-abiding citizen. You owe your parents, repaid with respect and care. And you owe animals, repaid with compassion. But the ones that are seen as the most challenging are the debts we owe to our spouse and our kids.
And this is where things get really, really wild. I mean, being grateful to nature, that makes sense. But the advice for how you handle debts inside your own family, it's pretty shocking from a modern point of view.
So let's start with your spouse. This philosophy says if your partner cheats on you, you shouldn't be angry. You should be joyful. Yeah, you heard me. Joyful. Why? Because their massive betrayal instantly wipes out the karmic debt you owed them. You're free. You can just, as the text says, relax and walk your own path.
And the logic is similar when it comes to kids. The idea is that our children are our creditors. They came here to collect. So our job is to give and give and give, with zero expectation of getting anything back. And if they're ungrateful, well, according to this, that's actually great news. It means your debt to them is being paid off nice and clean.
This whole way of thinking, that a negative thing can actually be a huge positive for your spiritual bottom line, it all leads up to the most powerful, most mind-bending idea in this entire philosophy. It completely flips the script on what an enemy even is. And this just lays it out so perfectly. Normally, we think an enemy is someone who hurts us, right? But in this worldview, that person is actually doing you a massive favor. They are your benefactor. By treating you badly, they are helping you clear your karmic slate way faster than you could on your own.
So think about it this way. Someone who is kind to you, a benefactor, might create new feelings of obligation, new attachments that tie you more tightly to this world. But an enemy? By their very nature, they create no such bond. Their actions, as painful as they might be, are actually setting you free.
So after all this, all the suffering and acceptance and thanking your enemies, what's the point? What's the final payoff for living in such a, let's be honest, difficult and strange way?
The final principle is about total release. It's that classic spiritual paradox, isn't it? That true freedom, true wealth, is only found when you're willing to let go of absolutely everything. Your anger, your attachments, your idea of what the world owes you.
And the source wraps up with this really powerful statement. The person who actually lives this way, who turns the other cheek, who feels relief when they're wronged, they might look like an absolute fool to everyone else. But according to this philosophy, that person is actually the sharpest, most clear-headed, and most strategic person in the room.
So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. In a world that screams at us to grab more, to win, to hold on tighter, could it be that the real way to win is to just let go? Is complete surrender the only path to actually having it all? It's a radical thought, and definitely one worth thinking about. Thanks so much for tuning in.